It shows that the CIA's actions a decade ago are a stain on our value and on our history. The release of this 500-page summary cannot remove that stain, but it can and does say to our people and the world that America is big enough to admit when it's wrong and confident enough to learn from its mistakes. Releasing this report is an important step to restore our values and show the world that we are, in fact, a just and lawful society.
All right, folks. Can't believe her, but someone who has a completely different view, as you might, along with me. Ralph Peters, the one and only retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, author of Hell or Richmond, and also, of course, Fox News strategic analyst. Hello, Ralph.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I know you have very, very strong feelings about what Dianne Feinstein did today.
Yeah, because she's absolutely full of it, restoring America's values by releasing this report. My values were just fine. Yours were just fine. The values of all the real Americans I know were just fine. I mean, this is just absolutely, absolutely horrible. I ask everyone, please, show me one tangible benefit for the American people. Show me one practical use in releasing this report right now. All it does is open old wounds, unfairly vilify the CIA, betray our allies who trusted us in the aftermath of 9/11, endanger American lives, diplomats, soldiers, but especially aid workers, teachers, etc., overseas. It guarantees that the terrorists will renew their torture efforts against Americans. They will try to take more Americans hostage. It's a great propaganda gift, especially Senator Feinstein's remarks there. What a propaganda gift to the terrorists. Plus, she made Abu Zubaydah, one of the world's worst terrorists, into a martyr and hero. I mean, there is nothing good about this. This hurts America. It hurts America really, truly badly and does nothing good. You know, Steve, I had a blinding flash of the obvious this morning listening to her. During the Vietnam War, the left was in its glory because they could vilify our troops as baby killers and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, they can't do that anymore because the American people got wise. The American people respect our troops. The military is the most respected government institution. So they can't attack them anymore except to portray them as victims. Who's left to attack? The CIA, the intelligence community. I mean, it's the same thing as back in Vietnam calling soldiers baby killers. Those CIA officers and others who, in the tumultuous, chaotic aftermath of 9/11, did everything they could and did it successfully to prevent another attack, are now being chastised, castigated, insulted, defamed, and libeled by Senator Feinstein and her ilk on Capitol Hill. And boy, I will tell you, I was in the intelligence world. I can tell you from my inside contacts, Senator Feinstein was briefed on every single technique, on every single activity. And, you know, she's rewriting history, and it's morally wrong, it's ethically wrong, it's practically wrong, and it just disgusts me.
Yeah, and we had General Hayden on just before you, Ralph, and he said this was a trial and verdict reached in absentia. It was predetermined, the outcome of this. They talked to nobody from the CIA, not because they weren't available, but because they never came knocking. They had no interest in talking to anybody from the CIA.
Or anybody else involved. This is a report compiled exclusively by Democratic Senate staffers without a single in-person interview, just relying on selective documents. It's basically a kangaroo court in which nobody was allowed to testify for the defense. But, you know, I mean, the truth is, Steve, over the years I've respected Senator Feinstein. I didn't expect a stunt like this from her. It's just so damnably sad. And I want to know if she and the White House, which supports the release of this report, I want to know if she is going to accept responsibility. Will she accept responsibility for the American deaths, the American kidnappings and tortures at the hands of terrorists that are going to result from her stunt?
Yeah, no, it's a darn good question. Even Secretary of State Kerry, and I very rarely quote him in any favorable fashion, wanted this report delayed at least and not to be released at this time.
All right, it's just, it's inexcusable. It's vile. It's providing aid and comfort to the enemy.
Absolutely. Yep. And as you put in your FoxNews.com piece, stabbing our heroes and our allies also, who are going to be held up to ridicule and put in danger, stabbing them in the back as well. Ralph, I love your passion as always, and I love talking to you. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Ralph Peters, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's a great analogy he made to the Vietnam anti-war left. All right, we'll be back after the Malzberg panel, with the Malzberg panel. But first, back in '72, President Nixon visited China. You know that, in order to garner peace in Vietnam and open up trade between China and the U.S. So we take a look back now at that historic trip with this hour's American Moment.
His presidency was one of the most vexing in American history. Mention the name Richard Milhous Nixon, and some will always remember him as the president who resigned over Watergate. But many others will credit him with one of the greatest diplomatic achievements, the reestablishment of relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China.
As I have pointed out on a number of occasions over the past 3 years, there can be no stable and enduring peace without the participation of the People's Republic of China and its 750 million people.
For 25 years, diplomatic relations between the two great nations had chilled, following the United States' decision to recognize Taiwan as the legitimate government of China. President Nixon and his then National Security Advisor, Dr. Henry Kissinger, reached out to his communist adversary to change that.
The meeting between the leaders of China and the United States is to seek the normalization of relations between the two countries, and also to exchange views on questions of concern to the two sides.
On February 21st, 1972, President Nixon, along with his wife Pat, arrived in Beijing. He was feted by the Chinese and honored by no less a figure than Chairman Mao himself. Richard Nixon's opening of China to the West has been described as genius, the boldest diplomatic move on the global chessboard in a century. In one stroke, Nixon had separated communist China from the Soviet Union, reducing the power of the communist bloc and paving the way for the eventual end of the Cold War. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.